Hey, good morning. Welcome back to my live stream. My name is Jeff Fritz. Today is July 28th, 2018. We're going to write some code together today. Last night was the first night of the Overwatch Grand Championships. I'm wearing my Philadelphia Fusion hat. That's our local Philadelphia team. They're in the Grand Championships. They're playing against London. That sounds kind of weird for a North American sports fan. Usually you hear Philadelphia versus New York, Philadelphia versus Boston, Philadelphia versus Dallas, Philadelphia versus London, Ontario? No, London, England. And we lost last night. We lost pretty good, 3-1 in that match. 2 more matches today. We'll see if our boys, the Fusion, can come back and tie it up. We had a great day yesterday on the stream. We went through and talked a little bit more about the architecture we've been working on with the Core Wiki project. And we started to refactor some of our search pages. We had the same basic page listed 3 times. We had a search page, we had a latest changes page, and we had an all page. And they all effectively do the same thing. Search for a list of articles in our wiki and present those as a list on screen. And it felt like we were doing the same thing 3 times. So we've started to refactor. We started to make those 3 pages the same so that we have one page that knows how to fetch that article data and present it on screen. And then we'll look at refactoring so that we aren't presenting the exact same data that's in the database. We aren't using the same objects to both fetch from the database and place on the screen. So we got a bunch of folks here in the chat room. Crows, yes, Crows, you were first. Lennon BR is here. Good morning. Programming with Dan. Maker Blaker. Stool Penner. Commander Alil. Hello, hello. And are we changing to a spa is the question from Programming with Dan. I don't want to change the entire thing to a spa. I think there's places that we can learn about spas. SPA being the acronym for a single page application. I think there's places that we can consider that and bring it into the mix here. I'm realizing my microphone's just a little bit hot here today. I'm not quite sure why. It's not like I'm in there twiddling with the settings. Let's bring in some music here in the background. I'm going to, of course, tune in some music to code by. Today I'm going to play Indigo. This is music from our friend Carl Franklin. You can get all of these songs that you hear me play in the background from mtcb.pwop.com, or you can download the app Music to Flow By from musictoflowby.com. And, of course, you'll get a song each month that you subscribe to Music to Flow By. Cool new music that you get, and you'll be able to get in the groove with. Right, this stuff is scientifically engineered and designed to get you focused. Hopefully like we will here on stream. And that sounds just a little bit quiet for me. How's that? Is that better now? Sounds good on your end. Let's see. .NET Know-How. Hello from Germany. Guten Nachmittag. An update on 2.1.2. It looks like it installs the runtime if you restore or publish to release rather than debug, which makes sense. Oh, okay. Hello, Whitebeard. Sounds good. And hey there, So Serious Now. Thanks for joining us. So let's, I'm going to run over to GitHub to get started. All right. One more update. I put the progress bar here for our Rainbow Beard Challenge that we as a group kind of settled on here over the last week or two. If we make it to 5,000 followers before October 20, we will I will dye my beard rainbow color for Halloween. No silly questions, So Serious Now, but what is DTO architecture? Good question. We talked about this a bit with Steve Smith and Julie Lerman during the architecture workshop. A DTO refers to a data transfer object. and it's a way for us to put together objects in our source code that aren't necessarily everything directly from the database, and aren't necessarily everything that's going to go on screen, but they're very simple objects that in C# parlance we would call them POCOs, plain old C# objects. They're just classes. In Java, they might call them POJOs, plain old Java objects. But the idea is they're just used to transfer data and not the exact objects that you're going to put into your database. So we're going to start to introduce a little bit of those concepts so that we provide just a little bit of separation from the database. This way, we don't, when we're ready to change our database provider, and our data model may change because we have a different data architecture, our website and our business objects can still behave the same way. We can still use the same things there. No methods on the DTOs. Good point there, Dan. Good point from Programming with Dan. There's no methods on those. They're literally property only. Okay? So I hope that clears it up a little bit. So here's the core wiki repository. I have one pull request out there, and this is our friend Ashley Broughton working on this pull request to introduce DTOs. And Erwin has been working together. The two of them have been talking about, well, how do we put these pieces together? So no converters too. We would like to see those converters outside of the object. This way, as whatever you're converting to that DTO changes, it's outside and it's a little bit easier to maintain. One step away from FP enlightenment, separating data and behavior. I believe least fixed point there is referencing functional programming, if I'm picking up the acronym you're referencing. Recently wrote an API, had some error validating methods on the DTO. When I installed Swagger on the project, it exposed my errors collection. Right. Reminded me to not put any methods in the DTO. There we go. Yeah, my microphone is still a little hot. Are we all right there? Pull that down just a little bit. I think we're good. I don't want it peaking too high. All right, so they're still working on this, but we're going to get pretty close to ready to merge this in to our project. I still have my sunglasses on. If I put my sunglasses on, I'm going to end up looking like Doc. Is that Bojan or is that Bojan? Thank you so much for the follow. There's Dev Chatter hosting us. And the DTOs will then be used as view models. I think they'll be used to help formulate the view models. Another thing that we're looking at bringing in here is a stronger view model that we'll be able to use that's exactly appropriate for each page. The DTOs will be used to compose the view models. Is there a way to see what has been done so far? I'm new to the stream. Sure, Stool Penner. I actually have a YouTube channel that complements this. If you go to youtube.com/C#Fritz. I have literally 110 episodes? 108 videos that we've done here. So there's a lot. All kinds of topics in here, all kinds of great guests that we've had join us. Search through, see what works for you. You could see May when I ran my Maze for Macs promotion. All the .NET development we did in May was on a Macintosh. We've had guests join us like Scott Hunter from the ASP.NET team. Actually, he's the .NET team now. Had a great workshop for ASP.NET Core. You can go through and take a look. So, but the code, you should see a GitHub link on the wall of Twitch here that you'll be able to reference and jump through right into our GitHub repositories. Used to disconnect various layers, parts of your program. Yes. So you use DTOs to transfer data, but you probably have a view model. That's what VM, I believe you're referencing, that will receive them. Yes, so we'll compose. And this is where our friend Jimmy Bogard, when he referenced AutoMapper, that's what we're trying to push. That's one of the reasons that he promotes that tool, is that you have the data coming out of your database, map it into DTOs, transfer it through your business layers, and then when it gets to your view, compose it up into that view model. And that compose, you want to use AutoMapper to compose. Similarly, when you take that what's been received in that view model back from the view, and you want to decompose it back into DTOs so that they can be sent over and saved into the database, you would use AutoMapper. And it automatically configures those properties for you. So this is where we're going to get to, but we're lining up right now with our search pages to simplify that. There's currently 4 projects that are running kind of simultaneously here, and I feel like we need to consolidate on these. The new data architecture is really what we're focusing on. Is we're trying to remove direct references to entity framework and the models that we use for entity framework, which are nice when you're starting a new application, but it gets you tightly coupled to entity framework and to those databases that framework supports. We will also want to be able to support other databases that aren't necessarily entity framework, like MongoDB, Cosmos DB, etc., etc. So this is one of those steps to help get this thing complete. I want to make sure I recognize Sanji. Is that Sanji or is it Sangi? Let me know if it's a hard or soft G there. Thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate you joining us here on the stream, and you're helping us get to that rainbow beard. I don't know if I really... A friend of mine said, oh my gosh, if we can get to 10, will you dye your hair also? Okay, 10's like really out there. No way are we getting to 10. Raw HX, thank you for the follow. And Steve, you're getting a little busy there. All right, you're gonna work yourself up into a sweat here, buddy. Take it easy, all right? All right. Let's see. I think you are just used to disconnect various layers of your program, so use DTOs to transfer data. Yeah, was not around. So is there a? Ooh, gosh, a couple good chats come through there. Quick answer: why you would want DTOs instead of domain models to do that? Domain models versus a DTO. Do you want to act on an object, or do you want the object to have all of its properties and methods? Right? I think that's the key difference that we're looking at between DTOs and domain models. Parset07, thanks so much for the follow. The follow train is strong this morning. Thank you everybody for joining us. Or are you guys trying to put the hair dye where my face is here? I don't know. Speaking of decoupling from a framework, how often do you think a full framework switch on something so core to a project would happen? I would think at that point you'd rewrite most of it switching off of it. So Krug, you have a very good question there. In enterprise application development, if I was building this wiki application and it was just for Fritz Widgets Incorporated, right? I wouldn't be switching architecture frequently. However, as a software provider, as a software company that's building some software that I want anybody to be able to use, you as a consumer of my software may want to use different databases, different frameworks, different tools with it, depending on your circumstances. You may have a good contract with Oracle, and your policy is let's use Oracle as our database. Okay, we should be able to support you. Maybe you have a good contract with Red Hat software, and you'd like to be able to run on a Redshift container. Okay, we should be able to support you. So it's different when you're coming at it from a from a software application designer versus building enterprise software, I completely agree with you, Krug, and you make a very good point there. That in enterprise software, where you're building it once, it's customized specifically for your circumstance, you aren't really going to be changing things out that frequently. To tightly couple to some of these things, it's not terrible. It's not terrible. But you are sacrificing longer-term flexibility for shorter-term gains. And that might be okay. That might be a very good thing for you because you have that long-term contract with Oracle database, or with the Microsoft SQL Server database. Maybe you have those contracts in your organization. It's up to you. But that's a good decision to be able to make. And that's why when you ask people about architecture, the typical answer they'll say is, depends. So thank you so much, Krug, for asking that question. That was a very good one. I'm glad we got to talk through that. Program with Dan says, Steve Smith's Clean Architecture repo, as well as the eShop on Web repository, shows a wonderful example of where our architecture is heading. Agreed, Programming with Dan. And in fact, what some of our folks who are contributing some code really want to do is they want to introduce Mediator, the CQRS supporting framework that our friend Jimmy Bogard showed us on the architecture workshop that we hosted. In fact, Jimmy spent an hour with us showing eShop on Web with his Mediator plugin. It's very opinionated, but it really simplified a lot of the processes in his mind and using that architecture. Our friend Scott Hanselman actually wrote a blog post about that same sample application that Jimmy wrote. So check out Scott's blog at hanselman.com and you'll be able to see more about that. Hacksaw says TypeScript is the one true language. Now, I'd say I think you for the folks that are using JavaScript, I think TypeScript provides a lot of functionality that they don't even know they're missing. There's a waking up that folks have when they start to see some other tools that help make them more productive. The first time folks use Visual Studio Code and they see IntelliSense and they see some of the refactoring tools that come with it, and they see the light bulbs that pop up that give you code suggestions, there's a bit of a awakening that, oh my gosh, look at this makes my job so much easier. And I think there's a similar recognition that happens when folks try TypeScript, and TypeScript's pretty cool. It's inspired a number of JavaScript features, JavaScript standard features now, like async and await, which actually originally came from the lead language designer of TypeScript. His previous language that he wrote, little something we like to call C#. Parset says, can you show us a picture of the young programmer Fritz? Just curious. Sorry for the strange request. I believe on my blog I did a post about, nope, I don't see it. Oh, post about the blog post, Visual Basic and me. I blog for Microsoft. Andy Weiss, thank you for the follow. And I was fortunate enough to be the person who got to blog about the announcement that Visual Basic would run on .NET Core. And that means that Visual Basic would run on Linux. And that was huge for me personally because my father, teaching me how to play Battleship here, when I was very young, taught me BASIC on the Commodore 64. And here's a guy who was a Unix administrator running AIX servers. And he knew BASIC, and he taught his son BASIC, even though that wasn't running and available on the operating system on the machines that he was working on at work. This was a hobby thing for him. And he taught me BASIC on a Commodore 64, and it changed my life. So, there you go. That's out on my blog, jeffreyfritz.com. Post about the blog post. So for me, as a kid at 5-6 years old, learning BASIC and learning simple for loops, if statements, to make the announcement that the evolution of BASIC, Visual BASIC, the language that my father taught me that he was never able to use at work, was now going to be available for him to be able to use on the machines that he uses. That was huge. That was a real big moment for me. All right. I'm not getting misty here, I promise. Commander Elil says, learned, and let me know, Commander, is that Elil, or is it Elil, or is it Ellie the second? Help me out with that. I learned on the Commodore 64 too. It was a cartridge called Simon's Basic. Yes! And I don't know if you've seen, but there's a Commodore 64, there's a mini Commodore 64. They call it is it the C64 Mini that's coming out? Yes, here it is. Let's go over to this. Check this out. Look at that. Fits in the palm of your hand. It's got an HDMI port on the back and a USB and a micro USB. A couple USB ports on the side so you can plug in game controllers. The keyboard doesn't work, so you can actually plug in a normal USB keyboard here, but it has USB, it has BASIC on it, right? But look at that. I'm like, I gotta get one of these. I want to play with it on stream. I'm like, ooh, this is gonna be so cool. Joker asks, noob question here. What are the differences and similarities between TypeScript and C#? That's a really good question. And Commander, you know, to be fair, right? The cartridges that you used to put back in the C64, right? Really cool stuff. I never tried Simon's Basic though. I'd love to hear a little bit about your experience with that. But I'm thrilled that they're re-releasing this. It's a European company that's made it. It's literally a plastic shell around a couple of circuit boards in there, but it's already available in Europe. So I'm looking forward to getting one here in the fall when it's available in the States. Hello, Namto94. GW Basic and Visual Basic were the first two languages I learned. Much respect for them. Yeah, I agree, C17. We've grown a lot from those languages. My friend Kathleen Dollard is now the lead language designer on Visual Basic. Might be fun to have her on sometime and talk about Visual Basic here on stream. All right, here we go. It's tricky as it's Welsh. Okay. E as in end. The LL doesn't exist sound in English. So put your tongue in position to say L. Okay. And the Y is like the I in. Okay. So is it Commander Elfith? Commander Ethith? I'm probably just killing that. Can I just call you Commander? Alright, but the differences between TypeScript and C#. Right, C# of course compiles down to .NET. TypeScript compiles down to JavaScript. There's a lot of similar language constructs there once you get past some of the things, but you do see classes in both languages. A lot of the normal block structures that you work with in TypeScript are the same in C#. I don't think generics are in TypeScript. Generics are a feature of C#. You also see it in Java now. Very cool stuff. Does anyone use Commander? Smab liked the pet. The pet was cool too. Absolutely. A little bit before my family could get it. The Port of Kanimu. You know what? I like to use the ones that come with windows, the shells that come with windows, just because I don't want to get too customized. I want to make sure that the things that I'm showing and sharing here are very accessible to everybody. All right. So I'm going to go back over to the source code. I still have it open from yesterday. Look at that. Don't need that. All right. Now, I hope I put that right. I hope you don't mind where I put the, what's it called? The, what's this thing called? The gauge, the goal here for the rainbow beard stuff. I think that fits in okay there. Oh gosh, please. Folks, you never have to apologize for perceived dumb questions. No dumb questions here. We're all learning. And I'm happy to answer them. When building REST APIs in C#, do you have to deal with the fact that variable in C# starts with a capital letter and not in JSON? Or the framework does it for you? The framework does it for you, and it's configurable. By default, it'll do that conversion. Now that's not right. Look at that. I think we need to put our alert notification on top of... Do that again. No, don't do that again. Ardenisi, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate you joining us. All right. You hate that construct in C#, console.writeLine. What's the matter with console.writeLine? All right. Yeah, so the framework will do that conversion for you if that's something that you're interested in. It's in the JavaScript. It's in the... Let me see if I can find it real quick. Because I've seen this. I've worked with it. I think... I don't want to go over there. Fundamentals. Fundamentals. Build web APIs. It's in the configuration. There's a when you configure the JavaScript serializer. It's in the JavaScript configuration. ASP.NET Core JavaScript Serializer Configuration. It's in there somewhere. Mr. Incompetence? Okay. I think you might be a little bit more competent than you might think, but welcome. Thank you for the follow. Is the @ symbol in CSHTML for writing to escape C# in the template files? Let me come back to that in just a second. Yes, the short is yes. C# default global JSON serializer settings. So global configuration. Wait a sec. That's old ASP.NET. It is. Oh, thank you, Namato. Am I pronouncing that right? JSON configuration. Right, app settings JSON. No. The serializer is available for you here. You can find it in the... I'm not talking to you, Siri. The phone lit up here. You can... It's like JavaScript Serializer Settings, I believe is what it's called. Inside of ASP.NET Core. And when you add it, it'll be there. Yeah, Serializer Trigger Siri. Haha, you didn't open this time. Is it in the MVC options of the services? It might. It might. Oh my gosh, the follow train is strong today. Adam Base, thank you for the follow. It's Now you got me thinking, and I really want to find this now. It's like add JavaScript something. No, of course I can't find it. You know what? I got an idea. Because I'm obsessed. I need to solve this. It's something like services add. It's like add JavaScript serializer or something like that. Because when you do, I used to do this when we did web APIs without loading all of ASP.NET Core. It's like add. It's like you have to add the JavaScript serializer. Yeah, JavaScript serializer. ASP.NET Core. It's and ASP.NET 5. Look at that. Ooh. It's moved. It's not there anymore. No. JavaScript serializer class. Not the same. This might be it. Might have a link to it in here. TypeScript configuration. So this is using Angular with it, but what they typically do when they're building a spa is they'll rip out everything, all of the Razor features. So they're working directly with the APIs and the APIs only. Default files options. The middleware. Add JSON options. That might be it. Or add JSON serializer. Something add JSON. Yeah, add JSON options. There you go. Thank you. Who was that? DevXer. That's what I was looking for. Yeah, there we go. Right, add MVC. Add. Yeah, there's JSON options. Right, and then you've got a setup action on the options. So you can say options, serializer settings, and then you can specify the format of everything. Right, formatting. So there's all kinds of options there. There you go. Type name assembly format, type name handling. Arrays, auto, none, objects. So you can go through and you can look at the serializer settings object there and pull that apart, and there's all kinds of options there so that you can make it format the API automatically to fit your needs. Whew. Okay, thank you. EM Triple asks, and Moz had it right. It is in the MVC options. I was thinking, Moz, when you said that, it was under add MVC and then inside the parens. Did Andrew Nurse write Razor originally? I don't know. I'm not sure who wrote it originally. PHP on .NET. Peach Pie is the project. It's an option to add MVC. Yeah, there you go. Formatting indented, converters add, the stream. Yeah. Oh, yeah. All kinds of converters you can put on there. Nice sample there, Bojan. Absolutely. Lots of configuration options, right? The defaults are pretty sensible, and it knows how to convert back and forth from camel case to the Pascal case. Okay. And Moz, about Peach Pie. So the Peach Pie folks reached out to me a day or two ago, and talking about some of the new features that they've introduced in the Peach Pie project. Now, Peach Pie is a project that allows you to run PHP on top of .NET Core. and it actually runs it 2 to 4 times faster than the normal PHP interpreter, which is insane that .NET runs it that much faster. And it's compiled too. So you can't have folks inject and modify your PHP files on disk, and that's a typical attack vector on WordPress. So you get your files compiled, you're a little bit more secure, and it protects you from some of those styles of attacks, and you get performance out of it. So the Peach Pie folks reached out to me, and they showed me some things, and what I'd like to do on stream here in the next week or two, I'd like to take my blog and convert it to use Peach Pie instead of, it's running WordPress right now. I'd like to convert it so it's using WordPress on top of Peach Pie on top of Kestrel. And I think that might be fun here. I don't want to be mean, but PHP. WordPress runs 30% of the internet. That's just a fact. WordPress runs Facebook and Etsy. Those are pretty big websites. I mean, if I ask my mother, you know, where she goes first on the internet, she says Facebook. Okay. So a lot of people use a lot of PHP. It's not for all the big companies who uses PHP, only Facebook. Etsy. There's a handful of them out there. And a lot of them use PHP for their Slack's backend is PHP. There's a lot of folks out there that use it. But the thing with PHP is that interpreted script can burn you. So I think it might be fun. It looks like Maz agrees. We'll give that a shot here in the next week or two. Tuesday we're gonna have Ryan Loudermilk join us, and we're gonna have some fun with Twitter APIs and JavaScript. I hope you tune in for that. Nile Crack, isn't Facebook on HHVM or something like that? Yes, it's right. It's PHP and it uses the HHVM compiler. They've hired a lot of folks who are ex-Microsoft to help them build that, is what I understand. Do you really love writing your code in HTML? No, I don't. I don't. The issue with PHP is not the language, rather than the fact that many people use it badly. Well, okay. With great power comes great responsibility. I don't have that quote. Rats. And people can abuse all of that stuff. Yep, compiled PHP. They compile it down. Yeah. Good language and has good and bad users. You can find that with everybody. You can find that with everything. I've seen folks who have taken their Razor templates like we have here, where really we're not doing a lot of. You really don't want to do any business logic in your template, right? You're doing a for loop to output stuff. You're conditionally deciding to output content. You're laying out some things here. There's no business logic. But I've seen people write full SQL statements and all kinds of business logic into these pages because they've got full C# they can write in these little template blocks. And that was the place that seemed appropriate to write their code, so they put it in there. Good morning, ThinkBot Labs. All right, let's get back to consolidating this. So I have these 3 pages: latest changes, all, and search, and they all pretty much do the same thing. Excuse me. Got to get that morning cup of coffee. Oh, and I saw Moz has one of these mugs now as well. There you go. Works on my machine. Ship it. That logo's available. People were asking if they could get stuff with that logo printed on it. There's a link here in the on the Twitch wall to a store that I sent the logo up to if you'd like to get it on a phone case, laptop skin, whatever. I want to get it printed and put on my Surface Book. I think that would be pretty cool. All right, so these 3 pages pretty much do the same thing, and I want to consolidate away, so I just have one page, and I use routing. Right, routing is that feature in ASP.NET Core. It's available in other frameworks like Ruby on Rails to pretty much route all of these requests to the same location, to the same page, and depending on how you get there, light up different functionality. Hey there, Yoda Droid. Well, I was just explaining. I've got these 3 web pages, search, latest changes, and all, that do the same thing. We're going to consolidate that down to one page. So let's see what we can do to get there. Now, the first things that I've done is I've changed the way that we fetch the data so that it all comes back inside of a search result object of type article. And the search result right now lives in my search engines folder here. And there you go, you can see it a little better. It's really a wrapper around my results with all the things necessary to page the result. What was the query that you submitted, the total results, results per page, blah, 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 blah. It really is a nice wrapper for outputting those results and formatting them on page. So I've consolidated down, I've already done the refactoring on these pages so that when I'm passing through to my formatted page is a set of search results. Now, I think we can start to refactor these 3 down to one page that just outputs search results and is formatted nicely on that one page. Now, part of me thinks that I should force everything over into search so that latest changes and all kind of fade away. And if you come into search, by navigating to latest changes, we'll see that and, you know, output just that data appropriately. Because search right now has all of the necessary handling for that. I don't need search result. So my page model that goes along with this already knows how to handle a query. And if a query has no content, then it actually doesn't go and do the search. It actually just returns the page with a search box for you to key something into. Now, that's not that's not too bad. That gets me somewhere. But if I'm coming in and I'm requesting latest changes, I want to behave slightly differently. So what I'm going to start off with here is I'm going to go back into, let me start at startup so you can see, follow me along here. In my startup class, where in ASP.NET I would be configuring the jump out and the configuration for things like my routing here in my configure services, we've simplified this into a series of methods so that I have it only configured in one place. I don't have to think about it. It's all right here in this configure routing location. This way, I'm not inadvertently touching some other code for a different purpose, for the wrong purpose. All of my routing is done in this file, right? When you think about solid practices, you have single file, single class responsibility, right? This class should only change for one functional reason, and in this case, it's routing. That the responsibilities that were in the startup class have grown too significant. So by having everything in here, all of my routing only changes when, this file only changes when routing changes. So now instead of going, right, so I have my details page and I don't have anything to go to search, right? This add page route capability here, these commands, let me lie to ASP.NET. This is creating a lie. Yeah. I'm saying if somebody navigates to /edit, if somebody navigates to /some value and will capture it and put it into a value called slug, put them on the /edit page. If somebody goes to someplace called some slug /delete, send them to the delete page. If they go to the root, send them right to details, etc., etc., and you can see these going down. If they go right to index, right, if they have a browser that tries to route them to, you know, whatever page / index, send them to the details page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some things in here so that we can lie and tell it if somebody requests latest changes or somebody requests all, send them to the search page. Good coffee today. All right. So I'm going to say options, conventions, add page route, and I'm going to send them to the search page. So that /search is actually looking in pages and search. Okay, that's what it's looking for, is this page over here. Namto says, I see that you use a template engine. What would you recommend generating the HTML on the back end or writing a front app in Angular that generates HTML and use REST APIs? Generates the HTML and use REST APIs. I personally prefer the second option, as I just have to write clean REST endpoints and not dealing with the HTML code in the same project as my backend. So you're writing a lot of JavaScript that interacts with your REST APIs from HTML, and you're putting it in a separate project altogether. That's fine. You know, that works. The Razor template engine here comes with ASP.NET Core. By generating the content on the server, I can actually have that cached in memory, and it serves it very, very quickly. So I'm not thinking about it. But then I end up paying the tax of managing that memory on the server, managing that processing to generate that content, flushing the cache. But I would be paying that tax just the opposite way if it was on the client. Not me, I'm sorry. I still have to manage flushing that cache, putting it into a cache, if it lives on the client. I feel like I have a little bit more control by keeping it on my server. That's my preference. But you can certainly do that. Things like host headers and making all of your files static. If all of your files are static, yeah, they're going to serve infinitely quickly. However, you're creating a lot of work that you need to manage on people's browsers. And as we've learned from the past 20 years of web applications, not everybody's browsers behave the way you tell them to. So I worry about that. That's me, and that's me as a jaded old guy developer. Smab says, I'm not a fan of your current routing technique. I like the recommended method of decorating the pages or controllers. It's not bad. I see what you're saying there. So and I'll show what Smab's referencing here. You can actually go through to your pages, right? And if you go look at the page, no, it's on the page. I'm sorry. So this is the route that you can define on a page here on line 1. Krug, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate you clicking the button there to follow. 3021. We've picked up almost 20 followers so far today, and we're barely an hour in. Oh my gosh. All right. We're cruising towards that 5,000. I'm worrying about my beard. I know, Ric Flair. So that's not too bad, because when you're looking at the page, the reason why you may prefer this, while you're looking at the page, you can see right here, this is where I navigate to. These are the parameters that I'm collecting to present this page. And that may work for you. That's okay. By doing it this way, I think, C17 makes a good point there. By doing it this way, because I've got some little bit different routing rules, by having them all in one spot, I've centralized that logic, and we can train our developers that all of our logic for how we map things is here. And if I do want to change the behavior for these, if I have a standard that changes, like I'm about to do here for this search, I don't have to go route through and change a half dozen pages. Let's see. Absolutely, I have a front-end developer in my projects that struggles every day with browsers compatibility. Amen, Namto. Oh my gosh. Right? And it feels like I'm back doing this again every time I run into browser issues. Hang on. We're connecting. Maybe. 28.8. 56K? Alright. Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm gonna be on AOL in minutes now, hang on. So I want to know who the moron is who works for a browser development team and says, hey, you know what, this standard is really great, but I got a better idea than what everybody else expects this to do. Let's have it do something different, because it'll be cool. And then who's the moron who says to that moron, that's a great idea. We're going to deploy Skippy's feature. Come on now. It really shouldn't be a general processing on the client is better or processing on the server is better. Yes, to EM Triple's point there, we're going to come right back to depends. Should always be based on the purpose and functionality of the project, and not personal preference. Yes. Hasher1968, thank you for the follow. And Heidi from the Mountains. Heidi from the Mountains? Are the hills alive with music? Web development would be great if it wasn't for the lame browsers. Yeah, I hear that. IE is still the terrible child of the internet when it comes to interpreting, the redheaded stepchild. Yes, it's fortunately IE has been deprecated, and Edge is where we're trying to push folks to, and Edge updates at a pretty good clip. However, instead of updating it and shipping it through the store, it comes through Windows updates. So this machine here that you see me working on, even though I have it set up, and I work for the company that's deploying the Windows updates, they haven't deployed me the spring update yet. So there's things in Edge that don't work for me because I don't have the latest version of Edge, and they won't deploy the latest version of Edge from the Windows Store. They want it tightly coupled to the operating system. That's their preference. I think they can achieve a faster deployment and maintenance cycle on Edge if they did deploy from the Windows Store, but that's not what they're choosing to do. Sometimes I want to go back. I want to do some front end for the UI part, but I think about it 5 minutes and I say to myself, just stick with the back. What is auto-validate anti-forgery token attribute for? Good question, Crows. So what this does, this auto-validate anti-forgery, auto-validate, we'll get this. Auto-validate anti-forgery token attribute. Hey, I got it. I got it that time. What this does is it will automatically place into your pages when you create a form, it will automatically generate and place an anti-forgery token. And when you post back, it will validate that that anti-forgery token hasn't changed and originated and was only used once when it posts back. If it's already been used, it'll throw an error and indicate that there's some, or it's been tampered with, it'll indicate that there's some cross-site scripting issues. What do you think of Rider? I like seeing, so that's from East Life RS. I like seeing competition, stronger competition in the developer tools market. That helps to push all of us to make our applications better, to make our development tools better. So competition's a good thing. I think there's some things that Visual Studio was kind of settling on and saying, we don't need to really innovate too much further on this because it already works great. Works great for all of our folks. But it's forced some innovation there, and I think you're seeing the Visual Studio team doing a great job of bringing new ideas, new concepts. Visual Studio Live Share, tremendous features and capabilities in Visual Studio that are independent of languages, right? That's an IDE feature. It works great in Visual Studio Code as well. So I think Rider has helped to push Visual Studio properly there. And I think what you're seeing from the Visual Studio team, and they've already announced that there's a Visual Studio 2019 planned. Gosh, if there was only a developer show in the first half of 2019 that they might, show that at, I don't know. There might be a thing there. But I think it's a good thing to help push. I think Rider's got some nice features in it. It's having ReSharper directly in that tool makes it really neat for refactoring and some of those things that you want to simplify and be more productive with. I work on the Visual Studio team, so I'm going to help continue to push them to make the product better. And really, Visual Studio, it's really the best IDE that's out there. Rider's coming up on its tails. There's some features that Rider has to complete and to get there, and they're doing a great job of pushing Visual Studio to be better, to compete. But when you try Visual Studio, if you haven't before, it's really great. And people are seeing that with Visual Studio Code. You're very impressed. Cool. Pre-VS 2015, ReSharper was pretty much required. Amen, C17. For Visual Studios 2010, 2012, and 2013, I had ReSharper installed all the time. It just hailed? Oh my gosh, Commander. Whew. Be careful. You're stuck with IE. Oh, that's terrible. I'm so sorry to hear that. All right, let me finish putting in these lies that we're going to tell the page routing here. So if you go to, I'm going to tell, if you go to latest changes, we're going to route to search. And let's copy that. Thank you. You know what? I want to make sure I'm running Karnak. Let's get Karnak running here. There it is. All right. So now I also want to get, if you go to all, oop, I don't want you showing every keystroke there, Karnak. Hang on. Don't you get carried away. What? What? There it is. All right. Well, that's not the right version of Karnak. That's really not the right version of Karnak. Come on now. Why am I not getting... I think that's the right version now. There we go. Yep. That's the right one. Alright. So now, yeah. Cool. Now you can see them down there. Your mother is Welsh. Oh, neat. You dumped Atom for VS Code. Well, VS Code and Atom are like cousins, right? They're both built on Electron. But I think it's pretty amazing the places we're seeing Visual Studio Code being made. I like how the Saturday stream changes into a kind of chill stream. It's kind of groovy. Hey man, thanks so much for joining us. We're writing some code together. Woo! Yeah. All right. I gotta be careful. I'm gonna fall back into the radio guy. So now what I can do in my search page, actually, let's test to make sure that those work, right? If I click through to latest changes and all, it should go into the search page and come back. While that's starting, Rider's made by JetBrains. I'm a Java developer. I use IntelliJ, and this IDE is good. JetBrains is a hell of a company. If you don't know, Android Studio is based on their platform. It is. It is. Absolutely. JetBrains has done a great job with Android Studio. And I know Java developers really like IntelliJ. Absolutely. You can, if you don't like IntelliJ, you can use Visual Studio Code to write Java code as well. It's got all kinds of plugins for that. But Android Studio is really the way to go. Okay, so now if I click latest changes, I should get the search page. Now look at that. Multiple actions matched. Following actions matched route data and it had all constraints. Page latest changes, page search. Now what did I do wrong? So it should have gone to /search. That Ric Flair soundbite cracks me up. Need a Dusty Rhodes one too. Ooh. If you find a clip on YouTube that has something like that, let me know. Drop me a whisper, and I've got plenty of room here on the Stream Deck to load them up. The radio guy voice. Good morning. Should I really do that? Should I really do the radio guy voice? Dear Lord. I talk too much. I'll let you write some code. No. If I wanted to just write some code, I wouldn't be broadcasting it. I want to share and talk about this. I still have the pages in the page folder. I think you're right, Maz. I think that's the problem. That's the conflict. C17. I've actually run into a situation where I've had. How can I put this lightly? To put this in a family-friendly way. I've had some folks say you should do books on tape. I was like, I don't know. I tried submitting an audition for the folks at Audible, and I was declined. And they said, no, you should do adult books on tape. Whoa. Okay. I don't know what Mrs. Fritz thinks of that. Yeah. It's like, I'm flattered. If we need another career, we'll talk about that. But want me to do? Almost ended up owing me a new keyboard. Sorry about that. But you want me to do the radio voice? Let me see. Let's see if we can hit this. I need like a traffic copter sound effect in the background. Good morning, everybody. This is C# Fritz coming at you from Twitch TV on this fine Saturday morning. Let's go over to C17, who's got the traffic report. C17, how's the traffic on this fine Saturday morning? How do you apply to Audible to do voice books? There's a terrible. There was a submit link on their website. Not bad for my first attempt. All right, we're almost there. We'll work on it. Yeah, there's a submit link that you can go check out on their website, or contact us. I forget exactly where it was. It's been years since I've looked at it. Joker's laughing, crying. Alright, let me rename these pages over here so that we don't have that collision. I think Moz is right that we have this collision here. I'm just going to throw an X in front of the file name. I've already got this configured. Go away. Let me do the same thing for all up here. And I'll throw an X just in front of that so it's not. It's not that private. I don't care, it's my Microsoft account. Whoa, you get royalties. Well, folks who do produce content typically get royalties, yes. What is your current salary in your current workplace, if I may ask? Well, there's every 2 weeks, I go out on the front porch and there's a bag of peanuts that gets delivered. And if the Scots are happy with me, the bag of peanuts gets a little bit bigger each year. So, 5 p.m. here. I'll teleport to your place. I have a second Saturday. Now let's see if latest changes works. Okay, now it doesn't go anywhere. And all articles, that doesn't go anywhere either. Well, that doesn't feel good. Hang on. What did we mess up here? Should be going to /search. Well, I'm not getting the error now. But it's not... Oh, you know what? Maybe I need to put a slash in front of those. Maybe that's what I'm forgetting here. Do that. Let's do this. Come on. Thank you. Dev core wiki. Go back into the core wiki project, and we will do a .NET watch run, so I don't have to keep doing that. Okay. Localhost. That's not how you spell localhost. Localhost. 80. Started at 8080, so it routes me. Bazinga. Nope, latest changes in all articles are not routing. You get peanuts, you just get the shells. I know. What can I tell you? I heard ASP.NET is a nightmare for most web devs. What... bits by bits, let me dig into that just a little bit further. Are you referring to ASP.NET web forms, the old ASPX pages that had controls in a very event-driven model? Yeah, okay. Web forms was definitely different and a little bit trickier for folks to use. EM Triple's got some sound effects for me. All right, we'll check that out. But ASP.NET Core. So ASP.NET Core is this very template-driven, cross-platform, completely open source capability that you have. And the templates are, right, they're very much like what you see in PHP and other template-driven web programming capabilities, web frameworks, where, right, I can format this. It looks just like normal HTML, and I can drop in those places very clearly where I need to pivot and change over from HTML to C#. So, it's pretty good. What programming language will you recommend to learn first? I've been learning Java, and I don't like it that much. Asks Kira Sumaro. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm a big fan of C#. C# is pretty much a Swiss Army knife now, where it'll do anything. You can program the cloud, you can program web applications, desktop applications, you can program mobile applications using the Xamarin framework. You can target iPhones, Androids, Apple Watches, Android watches, refrigerators, dishwashers, toasters, cars. C# will run pretty much anywhere. So will JavaScript. JavaScript is pretty good. It'll run in many different places, but JavaScript is a dynamic language, and there's some things you need to look out for when you're working with JavaScript. Those are the two languages that I would recommend folks learn. C, C++ are really good languages, very, very flexible. There's a lot of things that you have to take responsibility for around memory handling, processor usage in C and C++, that C# and Java as managed languages take care of for you. So I would follow up that initial recommendation with a question of what is it you're trying to do? What do you want to be able to write application? What type of applications? What type of games? What do you want to do with your programming knowledge? C# is very flexible, and it can go and do just about everything. You can even write games with it. The Hearthstone game from Blizzard, that's C#. So all kinds of stuff you can do. JavaScript is immediately accessible. Programming with Dan is very, very accurate with that. So, C# tutorials for beginners. Yep. So, yep. Now I want to figure out why my routing here is behaving a little funny. So even though I have search, I'm routing to the search page when I go to latest changes or all, it's not handling that properly. I'm sorry I can't pronounce your name, but welcome. Anyone have any ideas for web app projects? I've written a blog engine. Now I'd like to do something with Vue.js and some backend. There's all kinds of web applications out there ready to be built. Do you still have a controller method for the latest changes? No, there are no controllers out here. These are Razor pages. So there are no controllers. You could build a social network. Yep. You could build... Oh, Python's another good one. A lot of AI researchers and machine learning developers really like Python. Web applications, there's all kinds of things you could do to interact with social networks. What are you interested in? You know, I'm interested in I like sharing knowledge, and that's why I wanted to build a wiki, because it kind of fits in with that idea. This doesn't make sense to me why these two are not routing appropriately to the page that I want. But I have a feeling, I've got a fever, and the only solution for that is cowbell. No. I think it's going to be in my layout, where I have those links in the header. Right, I have ASP page latest changes. If I change that to href. What is this? Who put this thing here? Go away. Because that's not what I want to use. If I change those... Fine. Are you done now? Or are you going to continue to pester me? I don't know what kind of programs I want to do, but I like more the desktop mobile more. So what I've seen folks do, I'm not sure if you've worked with this. If you're interested in building mobile and you're interested in building desktop applications, but you know how to build with the web, Electron applications. So those are applications that wrap the Electron framework, are really interesting for folks to build. The Slack desktop application, Visual Studio Code, those are JavaScript websites that wrap the browser and turn it into another application. Those are pretty interesting for folks to build and work with. Is it the route or the code to generate the route that's in layout that's not working? Yeah, right? It was looking for a page, I believe, is what we're seeing there. So if I refresh this, these should change to hrefs. Yep, latest changes and all. And if I click this, it does come back to my search. And if I click that, it still comes back to the search. East Life, that's a great idea. A social network. True story. A friend of mine was interested in building a cool web application, and he was interested in the ideas of social networks. So he built a social network that he could customize and make it appropriate for a community of folks, and prevent other people from getting in there, because it might be like a business community that needs to be exclusive to those people, and you don't want to share some of that behind the scenes stuff in that business community with folks outside of it. Very much like what Yammer kind of tries to do. GTL90, thanks so much for the follow. Look forward to seeing you in the chat room. So what my friend was able to sell that framework to was the fashion industry. And he maintains a social network for fashion models, so they can share pictures with each other and talk about photographers and sets and all these things that are specific to the fashion industry. They have a private social network that's specific to them, that isn't impeded by things that Twitter and Facebook do. So, very, very lucky for him, as a late 20s bachelor, to be building a web application and selling it to fashion models. Yeah, Nile Crack, that's lucky guy. Anybody else a little bit distracted by this little gray fading border at the edge of the green screen? Oh, what is that up here? There we go. Got it. Thank you, Stool Penner. I had inadvertently moved. I have these little green lights, little LED lights. See? That I shine at my green screen to make it disappear, so I can do funny things like. Anyways. There you go. Alrighty. Much better. I remember when they introduced Yammer at my last workplace, people started using it as a locked Facebook a few weeks in. It was full of private content and little business content. Yeah, there's a culture thing there that has to happen. So now I can get into my search page here, and I can detect when I'm coming in to search from those different places, and I can tinker with that. And now I've consolidated all the routes to one location. Now we can start to be. Yeah. You like that one? There's a couple second delay going on here. That's all right. All right. Now I know that I've got everybody on the search page. Let's now handle if it's all or if it's latest changes and behave appropriately. So my latest changes, not the CSHTML, the actual class for that, down here, doing the thing. All it does is say, get latest articles. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to detect if I'm on latest changes. And if I am, do this instead. So I'm just going to copy this and go back over to search. Search, there it is. And on the on get here, right? I feel like I almost want to do a switch on the requested route. Requested page equals, and I should be able to say request dot, it's not URL, request dot path. Okay. Now, I should be able to switch on that. Let's make sure we do this. Let's say, wait, is that going to be, is that a URI? It's a path string. What the heck's a path string? No matter. To lower invariant. Cool. All right, now let's do a switch on this. Switch on requested page. Case search. And we'll do these things if you're on the search. Break. Case. Right, and that was latest changes. And I'll paste in that. Wrong one. Rats. That one. There we go. Break. This will be nice to use when issue number 5 is done. Give me a second here. We'll look at issue number 5. I need to make this an I. I need to receive an I article repository. Yep. Repository equals repository. I thought I didn't create the read-only field, did I? That one. And do this. Cool. Now you got me wondering, what's issue number 5? Issue number 5. Featured articles, yes. Yeah, we should be able to do something very similar for that as well. Absolutely. And not else. Default, that's what it is. And I don't want to do any... Actually, I can just stop at that, can't I? I don't need a default. Have I used GraphQL before? Eastlife RS asked. No, but our friend Glenn Block, if you've heard Glenn talk about GraphQL on some of the other podcasts that are out there, including .NET Rocks, I can't remember what the other one was I heard him on. Glenn's going to be joining us in the next week or two here, and we're going to talk a little bit about APIs and some things there, and introducing some of those features actually to Core Wiki. Glenn's very excited to join us. He really likes the idea of pair programming here on stream and answering your questions while we're writing code together. Anyone tried Neutronium? I'm a web developer. I want to learn C# to build desktop apps, and WPF is just painful to me. XAML is a little... It feels a little clumsy to me, XAML does. Kind of Electron for .NET seems to be a good idea. Haven't tried it. And that was Jeeb. Is it DJ Eeb or is it Jeeb? Let me know. I want to make sure I pronounce your name properly. That sounds pretty cool. Do you have a link for it that you can share with us for Neutronium? I'd like to learn a little bit more about that. So now let's see if this works. So I saved that. Here we go. Okay, so now I'm going to click latest changes, and it didn't do anything. Why didn't it do anything? Neutronium core Neutronium. I am going to copy that and put that in my list to follow up on. Thank you. I will take a look at that. That looks interesting. Shikados says, I find WPF and XAML to be superior to HTML and CSS. Check out the WE project, OOUI from Frank Kruger. You'll be able to put WPF in the browser. XAML in the browser. What is the value of requested page? I agree. What came back with that? I want to put requests. Now I want to put the debugger on this. So let's, not that one. That one. And let's see what comes back on that. Discord, Slack, etc. use it. Yeah. For Electron. Here we go. Okay. The problem that folks have with Electron is that you need to continue to update the Chromium extension, that the Chromium base that it runs on. So you end up having to chase that a lot. Requested page is /latest changes. Oh. So let's say substring 1. It's a very opinionated domain. Sure. Sure. If there was a domain like that that wasn't opinionated, I'd be worried. Now if I try latest changes, we're gonna switch, and we get the latest changes coming back. That doesn't look good. Attempting to divide by 0. Because we don't have total results and results per page. All right. That should be pretty easy to do because we forced the number of articles to 10 here. So if we say total results equals 10 and results per page equals 10, right? That should be okay. Let me turn that off. Let's see how this goes. We is so cool, they went over it on a .NET Rocks podcast. They did. Isn't there like a React Native equivalent for desktop? I don't know. Latest changes. There it is. Now the search page is here, even though I went to latest changes. So I may want to change some of these so that it looks like latest changes. And I can get rid of the pager as well, right? Yeah. I don't need the pager for this page. So let's look at removing this. And that's funny. 10 results found. Wasn't 10. Let's change this to say no. Let's make results per page 11. Search result dot total results equals search result dot results dot count. And that should fix that little bit there. Okay. Now, the last one was the all page. Let's look at what all had. This one. Yeah. So this is effectively doing a search with no argument. And then skipping and paging appropriately. So let's do that. Hang on, do we need that? What do you think? I could get away with it if the string is null or empty, right? If it's empty, return everything. I think we're okay with that. Let's do that. That feels good. Let's see what that looks like. And then I would basically remove this. Remove that. Let's see what happens. Why are some of the ones upside down in the matrix backdrop? Why are they? Maybe I put them that way. I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, so this is saying one result, but the pager is still lighting up. Okay, that's better. If I click all, I get the all page, one result, and it's looks like it's working. All I see is blonde, redhead, brunette. Yes. They're Australian ones. No. No. Oh, that's... No. They are not Australian ones. The page redirects to all, so of course it behaves differently than on latest changes. So the background, what you're seeing, I took that matrix and I actually flipped it, so I had two of them top to bottom, and I blurred the middle so that half of what you see is actually upside down, and then after it scrolls through, it gets to the part where it's right side up, and then it finishes the scroll and it comes back to the other side. So I've blurred that so it's a continuous wallpaper that just scrolls. Referring to the pager still lights up. Yeah. Is it really necessary to list all articles? I think you might be right. You think that's air you're breathing? I agree. I agree. So maybe we lose the all page, right? Maybe you're able to just click search and... Well, that's not right. Because I can do that, and it still works. But if I click this... Alright, let's do this. Let's get rid of all. I think you're right. All is not really necessary at this point. And we can even remove that from the layout. Layout. Okay. Let's get rid of all. Because really, you're never going to want to look at all of the articles. Which means I can also go into my startup. Nope, not startup. In the configure routing, and I can get rid of that. Okay. Which also means I do want this. Because I always want you to be looking at something. Right, I always want to have a proper query that I'm passing through. Right? So that works. Yeah, and you're right, this thing with the light up on this. Doesn't it know? Doesn't the pager just know that there's pager, current page, total pages? So if total pages is 1, I should never have it light up the others. Right? If we make that... I mean, I've effectively made that always larger than the total results. Right? That should never We should never see the pager then. Right. You know what? I just want to shut off the pager. Let's do that. All right, I'm going to remove the all page. It served its purpose, but alas, it's time to depart. And I'm also going to delete latest changes, because I think we've got this merged now. How do you link CMD with startup, command with startup? Give me some context, Crows. I'm not sure I follow what you're referencing. Oh, the log window. Oh, so the startup here, so this button up here, right? It says Core Wiki. This is actually, right, this is actually running the web application on the command line. And I can configure that. I'm blanking all of a sudden on this. It's under project options, isn't it? Debug. Launch project. Launch browser. I think it's also under properties. No, not there. Launch settings. Here we go. So I can either launch as IIS Express or I can launch as Core Wiki. If it launches as Core Wiki, the command name is the project, and it's actually going to, it's hidden here, but it actually launches the application on the command line using the .NET run command. Yeah. So, okay. I'm going to go over to the actual search page. Go away, this one. And where that pager is. How do I know that I'm in latest changes mode versus search mode? Let's say view bag. Oh, we don't have view bag. View data. Temp data. Add. Yeah. That feels so wrong. It just feels wrong. How about hide it if there's only one page? Okay. That's easy enough to do. Right? I mean, come on. If alright, if we say model dot what? Where the heck? Huh? Okay. If search result dot total pages greater than 1. So it doesn't even try and build it. That should make it go away. I'm already in a code block. If search result does not equal null. Right. But it wasn't, model wasn't coming up with, it was coming up with more than I expected. There we go. So even when I do a search, yeah. But it finds it. And good. All right. But when I go to latest changes, I do want that to say latest changes, and I want to hide the search page, the search stuff. So I do want that to be a thing. Let's put it after the constructor. Public string. Requested page. And let's just move that here. I can get rid of this. Make that kind of a standard thing. And now I can inspect requested page over here. I need to get the localizer for for the latest changes. Unfortunately, I deleted the latest changes page. Jeff forgot to copy that content out. Localizer latest changes. Okay. I think we're all right. Why after the constructor? All the other properties are before. Those are fields before. Those are fields. This is a property that's actually doing some code, doing some execution. So I want that after the constructor. That's, I like to have constructor, properties, methods is the way that I like to have my pages lined up. I need to pivot on this. So let's say model dot requested page. If that equals search, we'll output that. Otherwise, we are going to output localizer. And it was latest changes. Cool. I need to do the same bit here. Model dot requested page equals search. We'll do that one. Otherwise, it's going to be localizer. Yep, latest changes. Cool. So if we are in latest changes mode, we don't want the form. If model requested page equals search, that should do it. Search result is a property. Yes. Did I do something wrong? Have you tinkered with ML.NET yet? I love the Microsoft Build presentation on demystifying machine learning. I have not, but there we go. Latest changes returns that. That works. You could just use view data title in the H1. It's not quite the same. It's a little bit different. Close. I have not tinkered with ML.NET. However, folks from that team, Olya Gavrish, Ankit, I'm going to mispronounce his last name. They've been interested in doing a visit with us here and talk about some of the cool things in ML.NET, tinkering with it here with us. Yeah, I guess we can just do view data down here. And then eliminate that. That's better. All right. No, I think that's fine. Right, and if I go over here, it still works. It's not putting the space back in there, though. Globalization, pages. Now we're in search. We're not in latest changes, because latest changes as that layout. So now we're in search. Latest changes. Latest changes. So we don't have a new article link in here yet. Let's copy that over so that we can put the new article link on the search page. Now I can also get rid of this. Yup. I can get rid of... Yeah, oh, okay. Get rid of that. And we need... Yeah, we need a new article link, which we did have over here, right after the H2. So... yeah, let's put it right there. See how that goes. And I think that's going to take us right up to the end of time here. The end of our time today. There we go. Okay, if I go to latest changes, I've got a new article button. If I'm in search and I search for home, I got a new article button. Looks good to me. And we've dramatically simplified all of those interactions. So we now have just a search page for displaying results. We've really centralized that and made it a little bit easier to manage. But you are not authorized. Should the new article button really be there? You're right. You're right. Right, there is a, did we put it under ASP policy? We did. And good catch. Good catch. Can create articles. We want policy constants can create articles. Policy constants can... Why I wanna... Can write articles. ASP... hidden equals Right, that way it hides it if you don't have permission. Have it redirect to log in if you are not already logged in. Right, so I have it, now I have it removed, because I have those policy entries on here. Let's put some carriage returns in there, put them on separate lines. If I don't have these, what I could have on my create page, what? No, I didn't want to click that button. Bad idea. I could have authorize. Come on now. Where is it? Policy equals policy constants. Can write articles. By doing that, this shows anonymous users they can create an article by logging in. Yes. Weapon of choice, it says JWT, or that's sometimes pronounced JOT, or OAuth. I'm using OAuth. So if I go latest changes, I do get the new article button even though I'm not logged in. If I click, it routes me to go log in. And you see it has a return URL up here going to /create. So I'll click to log in with Twitter, redirects me back to the application. I do not have access to this resource. My can write articles policy is can write articles. You need to be an author or an administrator is the way that policy is configured right now. Let's open that up. Ooh, let me make sure I'm pronouncing that one. Joveka Saveski? Or is that Joveka? Welcome. Thanks for joining us here on the stream. I'm going to click new article. And because I'm logged in, I'm the man at jeffreyfritz.com. I'm able to create a new article. If I log out, I try to go back to latest changes, new article. I'm forced to log in. I'll log in with my Twitter account. And I get back in to create. I agree with what Franklin and EM Triple were saying there. This feels friendlier, feels nicer to folks. So let's to do re-enable when we can assign users to a role. Okay, get rid of that. But that definitely feels much friendlier than just flat out making it disappear. So I'm going to leave the button there and only have it appear and have it route you appropriately. All right. I think that's a show. I think we're at the end of this. Hello world. Welcome, Joveka. Let's wrap up. I'm going to push our changes back into source control here. So we've deleted the all page. We've deleted latest changes. We updated our layout to remove the all link. The startup, I think there were just a couple of spaces that I put in there. So I will add everything here. Dom9781, thank you so much for the follow. You caught me right as I'm wrapping up here. See, we got the last 2 minutes of Mario. Gotta hurry up, get to the flag. All right, so we consolidated all latest changes and search. Cool. Now, I think... Let me just run a quick git log. I think I want to merge those two. The last two commits before I push this up. Do you know what code .io games used? Asks Jimbo, my dude. No. .io games. I'm not familiar. What are you referring to? .io games. Oh, and thank you for the follow, Jimbo. Let me do a rebase here real quick, just so I end up with only one of these. And WPX Ace, thank you so much for the follow. So I'm going to say rebase head tilde 2, so it takes the last two, and we're going to merge them into one commit. I give it a -I because I'd like to do it interactively. I want to have a little bit of control over what we're doing. Excuse me. Really, I should have done an amend on this last one. So I'm going to put an S here for squash. I want to take these two and meld them into one commit. And away it goes. I get one new commit message here. Oh my gosh, and we hit the end of our Mario music. Get back to it, Mario. Okay, and this is to address the issue that Ashley brought to us, which was this one, 225. And we'll reference that. And now I'm going to do a git push force, because I'm overwriting a change that's up there. I knew it. I changed my... This is what it should be, this author right here, in my global git config. Websites that are games, so an example would be Starve.io. Not familiar with it. Where is it? GitHub email privacy. It's like there's a git config that you have to do. Yeah, where is it? There it is. Git config global user email. That's what I gotta reset up, because Visual Studio didn't like it. So we're gonna grab that again. Replace this. Go. You still don't like me. I need to reset. C# Fritz users no reply. Why doesn't it like it? Why doesn't it like it? Why doesn't it like it? What did we do wrong? Let me look at that message again. Failed to push some refs. Push declined due to email privacy restrictions. Make your email public or disable this protection by visiting. I don't want to disable it. It's not there. C# Fritz at users no reply. At users no reply. Oh, you know what? There's a ref log there that it's hiding in, isn't there? Was this caused when the pop-up forced you to change your Git account email? Yes. Yes, exactly. How do I reset my email address? Reset email address on commits. Change the author and committer name of multiple commits. Some head before all of your bad commits. There we go. Then mark all of your bad commits as edit. Yeah. No, I think this is all we want to do. Git commit amend author. Yeah, that looks like a good one, DevX, or git commit amend reset author. Git commit amend reset author. Okay. Git push. Updates were rejected because the tip of your current branch is behind. Git push force. Nope, doesn't like it. It's saying that the commit message would expose your email. Nah, that's what I thought, but when I look at the Git log, oh look, it changed it. I thought we changed. And now git log. Nope. Nope. Interesting. Oh, man. I need another editor. So that I can grab that one. There it goes. I'm trying to set the global, right? Git config global user email C# Fritz users no reply. No, that's absolutely the one that I have been using. Over here in Team Explorer, which decided to change settings. Home settings, Git global settings. Settings, global settings. C# Fritz users no reply. Git config global user email. That's what I want it to be. There's a repository setting, not global. Oh, look at that. How do I remove that? Unset. Nope. No, the one commit did, and I've rebased it away, but it's evidently still out there and visible. Got to reset author again. There it went. All right, cool. Thank you so much. Ugh. And that should have closed this. Added a commit that referenced it, so I'm going to close this because now we have it in our code. Refactoring search result pages. Awesome. Hold on. All right. I think we're ready to go. Wolfram Programming, EM Triple is suggesting we raid. Let's take a look at Wolfram Programming. I'm not familiar with them. Wolfram Programming might be a good one to raid. Let's go back to sharing floppy disks. That's a bad idea. That's a really bad idea. Programming with Wolf. Yeah, what are you programming? Alright, we will raid Wolfram. Alright, incoming raid. I'm about to head out. I'm going to be heading over to my friends at the PH16 charity stream. They are raising money for Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. Let me think. Yeah, if I'm just going to go to Twitch. If you check out the PH16 community, I have them tagged. They're, and I'll be over here in a few hours. We're going to be playing some video games. Check that out if you're interested. But, they're a little bit harsher language, a little bit more adult content. But if you're interested, I'll be over there in about 3 hours online. But let's head over and raid Wolfram Programming. Alright, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. We'll see you next time. And take care over there on Wolfram Programming is up next. We'll be hosting him through the end of his show. Thanks so much, Solanter. But it's time for me to go. We'll see you later on Tuesday with our guest, Ryan Loudermilk.